Hello. This is a brochure designed for new teachers about how they can succeed during the first 5 years of teaching through a connectivist approach. On the front cover, I have a picture of my colleagues and I having a little fun with Halloween, and hopefully, the feeling of having a good time with your colleagues would intrigue the new teacher to go ahead and open this brochure just to find out a little bit more. So, the first page starts out by sharing some alarming news. So, according to the research, between 40% and 50% of teachers will leave the field prior to completing their fifth year. And this was published in 2023. When I was in the credential program, I heard very similar statistics. So it sounds like not a lot has changed in the past few years. And people are worried that it might even be getting worse. So, some of the other research I found was stating that one of the biggest factors in teacher retention is mentorship. The relationship between a really good mentor and the new teacher can make all the difference. And this is something that was true with me. I am currently on my fourth year of teaching, and I'm still very close with my mentor and feel like our relationship is something that has been huge in my success as a teacher through the highs and lows. So, of course, when learning about connectivism, a lot of connectivism has to do with acquiring knowledge because through discussion, because this is the age of information. And maybe it's not enough for us to just know information because information is readily available and ever changing. So, this idea is to truly have knowledge now, we need to create it through discussion. That's how new knowledge is formed. Openness, diversity, and discussion. So, on this first page, it just explains to the new teacher the basic idea of connectivism and how they can use it. So, it says connectivism is a learning theory that responds to the nature of learning in the age of information. Because information is endlessly accessible, true knowledge and learning occurs when people connect ideas with each other through discussion. There's a little thought bubble so the new teacher can say, how does this work for me? And the idea is that discussing the challenges that they face with colleagues who are also dedicated to the art of teaching will result in solutions that are going to help them succeed because of this exchange of ideas. We can see that time for collaboration with colleagues and also autonomy for the teachers is what is key in helping them remain in this profession. And that was also found in the research. So hopefully the new teacher who's reading this would see, oh, okay, so I need to connect with my colleagues. They're kind of starting to understand it. Then the next page says, what is not connectivism? So this is just saying that not every single teacher is going to be as invested in the profession. So it's important that when we are looking for colleagues to share information with and grow with, we need to be discerning about which colleagues want to engage in productive conversation, share research, move forward, and which colleagues want to complain. One thing that hopefully will stand out to new teachers as they read this is that it's not just about PLC. It's not just about time to refine instruction for the students. It's really about those challenges that are happening around the instruction, classroom management being a big one, and also pacing for new teachers, things like that that are separate than just like what's our formative assessment, what's our summative assessment. This is an opportunity for you to learn about those other things with your colleagues, but it doesn't work if your colleagues are not dedicated to working. So I wanted to point that out. The next page is pointing out for the new teacher to know their strengths and their weaknesses. So for most for most new teachers, they're going to be hyper focused on what their weaknesses are. They're going to feel like they really need to get a handle on X, Y, and Z, and until they can master it, how are they supposed to actually teach the content? And it can be very overwhelming because there's a lot of areas of teaching that you're not going to be good at right away. But it is important to identify your strengths because your colleagues are going to want that information that you have. You just graduated from a credential program. You have updated, fresh strategies and information, and you're kind of more up to date with cultural shifts in education as well, which is really significant. So, knowing that your input is valuable is important, and it still connects to the connectivist approach because diversity is a key principle in connectivism. If everybody has the same idea, it's not a conversation, according to Downs. So next is a little photo of our Friendsgiving invitation that we made this past year. And hopefully that will give the new teacher an idea that you get out of it what you put into it. I think that's true for teaching in general, but especially with building these professional connections with your colleagues. Being very intentional about who you spend your lunch breaks with, who you were talking to before school, after school, building those positive relationships, maybe attending extra events that you don't really need to attend, like the White Elephant Party with the administration and the office staff. Those are all great opportunities because what's going to create better knowledge is having those diverse perspectives. So you might want to branch out from your core team and try to get to know everybody in your site because that's going to be what helps you understand the flow of information. You can't go to your principal with every single question that you have. And even your mentor, you may not be able to access them all the time. So it's important to know who to speak to for different needs that you have. Next, we spend a little bit of time in the guide encouraging students to reach out to other professionals on social media or any kind of virtual space, specifically virtual spaces that are already at your fingertips. You might already be engaged with Facebook or Reddit, and these platforms have groups that are content specific. So if you teach art, you can find an art education forum to go ahead and discuss more specific ideas with a more diverse population. Likewise, if you teach first grade, there most certainly is a first grade education teacher page on Facebook. You just have to do a little bit of looking, follow these groups, engage in these groups, and you'll find a wealth of knowledge. And then last but not least, we end the brochure with an encouraging statement. Everything is a learning opportunity. Understanding that you are a lifelong learner is a part of connectivism because knowledge or because information is changing so rapidly now. You have to keep up with new information. You have to be willing to learn as you go. And these opportunities for learning can happen with any interaction you have with a colleague. Any interaction you have with a student is a chance to gain perspective, to discuss, to debate, engage in connectivism as you go. Luckily, it's not the type of thing that you have to set aside time for. Connectivism is flexible and it shows us that we can really learn from each other while we engage in our jobs. So, hopefully, that will be very encouraging for the new teacher if they were to find this guide and flip through it. Thanks.